okay, let me give you a follow-up question on that, what you just said, and see what you guys would argue. I mean, some people, like you just said, they say that, if you believe in science to see your doctor, you should believe in evolution. And in fact, one person, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Is it Dennis Lamora? Lamore?
Lamoureux.
Lamoro? People like him have said that basically biology is all about evolution. Biology doesn't make sense without evolution.
Yeah, Theodosius Dobzhansky.
Okay, but the young Earth creationists who don't believe in evolution would say, like, that's totally nonsense. You can learn everything about biology and DNA without believing in evolution.
Well,
it has nothing to do with
that statement. I mean, you got to be a little careful with it. Actually, that statement comes from Theodosius Dobzhansky, who was a great evolutionary geneticist some years ago. Also, an Eastern Orthodox Christian, worth pointing out. And he said, I think he's the one who had an article that was titled something like "Nothing in Biology Makes Sense Without Evolution," or something to that effect. Now, it's true. You can learn a whole lot of facts about biology, and you can become a medical doctor and all this kind of thing without accepting evolution. But nothing makes sense in the sense of having a coherent theory, a coherent picture that really ties all of that together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what evolutionary theories, and as Dick pointed out a while ago, not necessarily Darwin's. I mean, there are variations on Darwin's theory, but evolution in general is the only kind of theory that allows you to tie everything together.
Well, one more thing that the young earthers might say is that, those who believe in modern science, basically, they have a different worldview, they have a different lens they're looking for, and maybe they're just ignorant of all the scientific data that supports young Earth creationism. And so I'd like to ask you guys, have you ever spent time as a young Earth creationist? Have you ever, have you been one for a couple of years, or did you ever seriously consider all their stands?
Well, I grew up as a very conservative Lutheran, and I didn't accept evolution. However, since I was interested in physics and in cosmology, I was never a young Earth creationist. I mean, I always had somehow in the back of my mind the idea that the Earth was billions of years old. But I mean, that was sort of before I reached the point that I would consider myself, really mature thinker.
I was a nuclear weapons systems officer before I became a Christian, so I knew something about radiometric decay, and I knew something about the world, and it was the exposure to a young Earth creationism that virtually propelled me into this whole issue anyway, and caused me to look and see, well, if the Bible is supposed to be true, and I believe it to be, how can it be true in the face of what we know scientifically? And basically, that's been my quest for the last 25 years.
So, Dick, did you ever spend time as a young Earther? Did you believe?
Not even a second. In fact, when I saw a movie put out by the Institute for Creation Research called "The Earth, Is It Old or Is It Young?" I didn't get a wink of sleep the entire night. I was up all night long, and I jumped up out of bed and I wrote down, wait a minute, we had 150 million years worth of dinosaurs. What happened to them? We had 5 ice ages on the Earth. What happened to the ice? How to get in and out so quickly? We see objects in deep space billions of light years away. It's just something about the ages of the things we see in deep space. So,
well, both of you are making it kind of sound like it's so one-sided. Like if you know anything about science, you wouldn't even be a young Earther for like a minute.
Oh,
but hold on now, hold on. Yeah. It just seems like my experience. What I'm doing is I'm trying to be really open-minded, and I see a lot of good points from all angles. And I mean, I see some good points from young Earthers, old Earthers, theistic evolutionists. I'm kind of seeing it all, and I am starting to sort out, where I believe. But I would say, I mean, sometimes I see things from the young Earthers. I think that makes a lot of sense, and so I'm kind of asking, have you guys ever thought that, just on anything that they had to say?
Well, I guess I'd ask. I mean, what from the young Earthers?
I've never seen anything.
Well, for example, if they say, okay, like Dick, you just said, well, the dinosaurs, they lived for millions of years, but the young Earthers say, no, they're only 6,000 years old, and it's all how you look at it. Now let's look how you can disqualify all the carbon dating. Let's look how you can disqualify all this, and they get into some really deep science. So on the surface, it seems like it'd be easy to go with either side. And the only way to really understand is you have to go into, really excruciating detail on all these things.
Well, what they use are either failed arguments or already disproven arguments, but because it's all they have, they constantly regenerate the same old stuff. And radiocarbon dating is different from radiometric dating.
Yeah, I just meant all that kind of.
They blur the edges there because I think you're not going to know the difference. But if you take major radiometric dating and you look at it consistently, they dated the moon rocks we brought back from the moon. They dated them in 3 different labs. They dated them 3 different ways. 6 different ways: potassium, argon, and 6 different radiometric techniques, and they all came up in the billions of years. You can go to the Smithsonian, you can see those rocks sitting right there today. There's no question about the Earth and the moon is in the billions of years old. That should be something we shouldn't even be talking about. Why are we spending time? It should be a given at this point.
Yeah, I would say, I can, although I think evolution has happened, and I think there's a lot of evidence for it, I can listen to people who have doubts about the science behind evolution. I really find it quite honestly, very hard to take seriously arguments for a young Earth. Because, as Dick says, the evidence for the age of the Earth, the age of the solar system, is just overwhelming. I think the easiest thing to look at is the ratio of uranium isotopes, U-238 and U-235. And I'm not going to go rehearse all the details here, but that gives you a very clean result that the solar system is something like, the material of the solar system is something more than 6 billion years old.
But okay, so what you guys is saying is really very shocking statement. For example, if the vast majority, almost all of evangelical Christians are very friendly and accepting of a young Earth idea, they're against evolution, and you're saying evolution is kind of obvious and overwhelming experience, but yet here is the major movement of the church that is totally wrong. Doesn't that sound super scary?
Well, now remember, listen to what I said there. I said that I can understand how people would have some objections, even just on scientific grounds, to evolution. I think that's wrong, but I can understand that. I think you can try to make that case. What I cannot take very seriously is the idea that the Earth is only a few thousand years old. Because the evidence for the age of the Earth and the solar system and the universe of being billions of years is.
Well, isn't that really scary that the church, by and large, the evangelical church is on the wrong track, going the wrong direction?
Well, here, let me remind you, let's be a little bit Catholic, and I mean Catholic with a small c here. The whole Christian church throughout the world is not defined by American evangelicals. And if you look at what Christians throughout the world believe, and you look at the positions of mainline Protestant churches, Roman Catholics, Orthodox churches, there's a great deal of acceptance. Most of them don't have any problem at all with the Earth being ancient. Most of them do not have great problems with the idea of evolution properly.